Why Meghan's podcast is a failure? A professional podcaster speaks to The Telegraph anonymously about why Meghan's podcast is a new celebrity offering the world doesn't need. She also speaks on celebrity podcasts generally, and it's quite interesting. She and her industry friends were, by and large, shocked by the same idea, that a 28-person team could make such a bad end product. She herself had her preconceptions, and there were a lot of them proven. Plus, a team of 28 is totally unheard of. I've only ever known that number to be associated with a daily US news podcast. To have it for a weekly interview is just ridiculous. The caliber of guests is stellar, but every conversation feels completely LA, devoid of the authenticity Markle and her cohort claim to cherish. Meghan had said that the conversations would be unfiltered, yet her session with Serena Williams had obviously been practiced within an inch of its life. The podcasts have themes, ambition, etc., but the theme and conversation that follow often feel at odds. Archetype never gets deep enough to provide a truly satisfying listen. The topics she set out to address are important, but tackled on such a truly superficial level that it feels like listening into a sixth form sociology class. Archetypes is a PR exercise for Markle. That much is clear. My prediction is that for all the promo it's had, the podcast will be a massive loss leader for Spotify. On the latest episode of Archetypes, Meghan Markle hit out at suggestions that when she became engaged to Harry, that she was lucky to be chosen by him. She said Prince Harry had countered the narrative by saying they got it all wrong, I'm the lucky one because you chose me. But Markle has been slammed by Canadian journalists for not realising it was because it was a prince. ET Canada's Morgan Hoffman said, I'm just going to dive right in. If you weren't talking about marrying a prince, I would agree with all of this. It's unfortunate when you hear this narrative the woman's so lucky to be with the man. I actually follow a lot of influencers, and there's touching moments where they're like, I feel so lucky to have found my love, but I think in this instance, he's a prince. Of course you feel lucky. I get where she was coming from, but in this situation, it was very special. You were literally living out people's fairy tales, and whether you agree with it or not, that's what they meant. Not, you're so lucky, but oh my gosh, you're going to live in a castle. Moreover, former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, slammed Miss Markle for her remarks. Miss Neeson said, Meghan managed to turn everything into victimhood, doesn't she? I think this is less about misogyny and less about gender, and more about marrying an eligible person, whether they're male or female. And I think when people keep saying to Meghan, oh, you're very lucky to be with him or married to him, they're not talking about because she's a spinster or she's a woman. I think it's down to the fact that Harry was one of the most eligible people on the planet. I mean, he was a prince, he was very wealthy. I think this is less about the gender issue and more about the fact that she married a prince. Basically, she's very lucky. Very few of us get to marry a prince. Most of us marry frogs.